Hi dear students, today we will see muscles of upper limb. So upper limb is this region. So let's see the some muscles in this region. So upper limb also includes pectoral region. So this area is pectoral region, which consists of muscles like pectoralis major, below that pectoralis minor. Subclavius is a small muscle which is seen just below the clavicle. Pectoralis major muscle can be seen. Origin, clavicular head, originating from the clavicle. Anterior surface of medial half of clavicle. Sternocostal head originating from the sternum and also from the costal cartilage of the ribs. Half of anterior surface of manubrium and up to 6th costal cartilages and 2nd to 6th costal cartilages. Insertion of pectoralis major. Pectoralis major is inserted to the humerus to the lateral lip of bicipital groove. Now supply of the pectoralis major. Medial and lateral pectoral nerves. Medial pectoral nerve, lateral pectoral nerve. They are arising from the medial pectoral nerve is arising from medial cord, lateral pectoral nerve is arising from lateral cord of brachial plexus. Actions: the muscle acting as a whole causes adduction and medial rotation of the shoulder. The shoulder will be adducted and medially rotated when the muscle is acting as a whole. Clavipectoral fascia is a fascia that is deep to the pectoralis major muscle. Clavipectoral fascia can be seen in this figure also. It's a fibrous sheet deep to clavicular part of pectoralis major. So mainly it is situated below the clavicular part of pectoralis major. Clavicular part of the pectoralis major is arising from the clavicle. Extend clavicle above, it is extending above to the clavicle and below to the axillary fascia. Axillary fascia is a fascia that is seen in the axilla. Medially, the fascia is attached to the first rib and to the costoclavicular ligament. On the medial aspect, it is attached to the first rib and also to costoclavicular ligament. Costoclavicular ligament is connecting the costal cartilage to the clavicle. First costal cartilage to the clavicle, that is situated medially. Laterally, it is attached to the coracoid process. On the lateral aspect, it goes to the coracoid process. Clavipectoral fascia can be seen in this area after cutting the pectoralis major. Clavipectoral fascia is pierced by, there are some structures piercing the clavipectoral fascia. They are lateral pectoral nerve, cephalic vein, thoracoacromial vessels, and the lymphatics that are passing deep. So lateral pectoral nerve, we have already seen it is a branch of lateral cord of brachial plexus. Cephalic vein is the superficial vein which is seen on the lateral aspect in the upper limb. Thoracoacromial vessels are the branches of thoracoacromial artery that you can see here are the branches of axillary artery, second part. Pectoralis minor is a small muscle compared to the pectoralis major. After cutting pectoralis major, removing clavipectoral fascia, pectoralis minor will be visible. Origin from 3, 4, 5 ribs near the costochondral junction. That is the junction between the costal cartilage and the ribs. That is called costochondral junction. Insertion point, medial border and upper surface of coracoid process. So it's inserted to the coracoid process. In this, pectoralis minor can be seen. Nerve supply, medial and lateral pectoral nerves. Again, the same nerves which are supplying the pectoralis major, medial pectoral nerve and the lateral pectoral nerve. Action of pectoralis minor muscle: draws the scapula forward with serratus anterior. So drawing the scapula forward along with serratus anterior muscle. And the next action is depressing the point of shoulder, and also helps in forced inspiration. Subclavius is a small muscle below the clavicle. Origin: first rib at the costochondral junction. So it's arising from the first rib at the costochondral junction. Insertion to the subclavian groove. Subclavian groove is a small groove that can be seen on the inferior surface of the clavicle. So it is attached to that. A nerve supply. Nerve to subclavius. Nerve to subclavius is a nerve which is arising from the brachial plexus again. So it supplies the subclavius muscle. Action: steadies the clavicle during movements of shoulder. So while shoulder is moving, the clavicle has to be steadied. That is done by subclavius. Now muscles on the scapular region, that is back of the shoulder region. Deltoid muscle. Deltoid muscle is not seen here. Teres major. Teres major is here. Teres major. Infraspinatus. Teres minor. Teres major. Teres minor. Supraspinatus. Infraspinatus. Subscapularis is a muscle which is seen on the anterior aspect. Deltoid can be seen here. Deltoid. Originating from anterior border of the lateral 1/3 of clavicle. So it is originating from the anterior aspect of the clavicle, this area. Lateral border of acromion. Lateral border of the acromion. And crest of spine of scapula. This is the origin of deltoid. So it is originating from anterior aspect, clavicle, acromion, and the spine of the scapula. See the origin of the deltoid muscle, originating from the spine posteriorly, anteriorly the clavicle, and laterally from the acromion process. Insertion: deltoid tuberosity of the humerus. So it's inserted to the deltoid tuberosity of the humerus, which is seen on the lateral aspect of the humerus. Nerve supplied by axillary nerve. Axillary nerve is a nerve that is arising from the posterior cord of brachial plexus. Actions: acromial fibers, which are arising from the acromion, these fibers, they are powerful abductors of the arm at the shoulder joint, and they cause abduction that is ranging from 15 to 90 degree. Anterior fibers are flexors and medial rotators of the arm. There is anterior fibers which are arising from the clavicle, they cause flexion and medial rotation of the shoulder. Posterior fibers which are arising from the scapula, spine, causing extension and lateral rotation of the arm. Clinical importance: intramuscular injections are often given to the deltoid muscle, and they should be given in the lower half of the muscle to avoid the injury to the axillary nerve, because upper half of the muscle is related to the axillary nerve, so it is better to give on the lower half of the muscle to avoid injury to axillary nerve while giving intramuscular injections. Coming to muscles of the arm region, they are coracobrachialis, biceps brachii, brachialis, triceps brachii. Let's see each muscles. Coracobrachialis, coracobrachialis. Origin: tip of coracoid process, originated from the tip of the coracoid process, inserted to the humerus. Middle 5 cm of medial border of humerus. Action: it flexes the arm at the shoulder joint. So it is crossing the shoulder joint anteriorly, so it can cause flexion at the shoulder joint. nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, that is supplying coracobrachialis. The next muscle, biceps brachii. Bi means two, so it has got two heads. Origin, short head. So it has got short head and long head. Short head is originating from tip of coracoid process. Long head is originating from supraglenoid tubercle that can be seen on the scapula. Insertion, and both the head unite to form the belly of the muscle. Then it is inserted to the radius, the radial tuberosity, and it has also another way of attachment that's called bicipital aponeurosis, and that is attached to the deep fascia of the forearm. So radial tuberosity is attached, so the muscle insertion point is to the radial tuberosity and also to the deep fascia of the forearm through bicipital aponeurosis. Action, it's strong supinator when the forearm is flexed. So when the forearm is flexed position, it can cause a supination. All screwing movements are done with this muscle, and it's a flexor of elbow. So it can also flex the elbow because it is causing, or it is passing anterior to the elbow joint, so it can flex the elbow. The short head is a flexor of arm. Short head is crossing the shoulder joint anteriorly, so it can also flex the arm, or it can cause flexion of the shoulder. The nerve here is musculocutaneous nerve. Musculocutaneous nerve again supplies the biceps brachii. Also you can see that the long head of biceps brachii attached to the supraglenoid tubercle in this figure. Again you can see that in this, and the long head passes through the bicipital groove of the humerus. This one, this is the bicipital groove. This one, brachialis muscle. Brachialis muscle is deep muscle. To see the brachialis muscle, we need to cut the biceps brachii. Origin, anterior surface of humerus. So it is mainly originating from the humerus, anterior surface. Insertion, it's inserted to the ulna, coronoid process and ulnar tuberosity of the ulna. So this ulnar tuberosity, which is seen on the anterior aspect of the ulna. Action, it is the principal flexor of the forearm at the elbow joint. Nerve supply, again it is supplied by musculocutaneous nerve and also radial nerve. So this muscle has got two nerve supply, musculocutaneous and radial. Now coming to muscles of posterior compartment of the arm, there is a single muscle, that is triceps brachii. It has got three heads, that's why it is triceps. 1, 2, 3, three heads. Origin, long head originating from infraglenoid tubercle on the scapula. Medial and lateral head arising from posterior surface of humerus. So this is lateral head. When you cut the lateral head, you can see the medial head also. Both are arising from the humerus. Insertion to the olecranon process of the ulna. Action, it is powerful extensor of the elbow. Nerve supplies by radial nerve. Radial nerve is a nerve which is arising from posterior cord, or you can say it is a continuation of posterior cord, and that supplies the posterior compartment of the arm, and the muscle is triceps brachii. The muscles of flexor compartment of forearm. Now moving to the forearm region. The flexor muscles of the forearm. First let's see the flexor muscles. superficial flexors are there and there are deep flexors. So superficial flexors are 5 in number. They have a common origin, that's from medial epicondyle of the humerus, this point. All are crossing the elbow joint. All the muscles will cross the elbow joint, and these muscles are from lateral to medial: pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor carpi ulnaris. So let's see these muscles: pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor carpi ulnaris. And there are some muscles in this which has additional origin than the medial epicondyle, and they are pronator teres, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum superficialis. The deep muscles here are, the deep flexors are, now the deep flexors, to see the deep flexors you need to cut the superficial flexors and remove it, then you can see the deep flexors. They are 3 in number. They have origin which is confined to radius and ulna, and the muscles are flexor pollicis longus, flexor digitorum profundus, pronator quadratus. Now, cubital fossa is an area that can be seen on the front of elbow. It's a triangular space situated in front of elbow. The boundaries of it are: the base is an imaginary line that is passing through the 2 epicondyles of humerus, laterally bounded by brachioradialis muscle and medially by pronator teres. The roof of it is formed by the skin, superficial fascia, deep fascia, and bicipital aponeurosis. And the floor of this fossa is formed by brachialis muscle medially and laterally supinator muscle. Contents of cubital fossa. So we can arrange the structures from medial to lateral, and the structures would be median nerve, brachial artery, biceps brachii tendon, and most laterally the radial nerve. Now extensors muscles of forearm. So here again it is arranged into superficial and deep group. So first let's see the superficial group. And the contents, the main nerve here that is supplying the muscles here are the radial nerve and the branches of it. The muscles here are brachioradialis, anconeus, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi, extensor carpi ulnaris. So let's see the muscles one by one. Brachioradialis, anconeus, a small muscle, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, both are together. One is a long muscle, other one is short. Extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi, this one, extensor carpi ulnaris. Now the deep group muscles, when you cut the superficial muscles, these muscles are lying deep and it is supplied by the posterior introitious nerve. So when we see the superficial group, superficial muscles, they are supplied by the radial nerve, whereas a deep group are supplied by posterior introitious nerve, which is a branch of the radial nerve. The muscles here are abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor pollicis longus, extensor indicis supinator. Abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor pollicis longus, extensor indicis, and the deep one again, that is supinator. So these muscles are located in the deep aspect on the extensor compartment of forearm. Intrinsic muscles of hand. So there are some muscles which are located in the hand. They have origin and insertion within the hand itself. So they are the intrinsic muscles. Thenar muscles. There are some muscles in this region. The thenar region. This is thenar region. Abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, opponens pollicis, adductor pollicis. So these are the thenar group muscles which are seen on the lateral side, this area. They are abductor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis, this one. Opponens pollicis is a muscle which is deep to these two muscles, can be seen here. Adductor pollicis is a deep muscle again, deep muscle here, adductor pollicis, which has got two heads. Hypothenar muscles are the muscles which are seen in this region on the medial side. Flexor digiti minimi, opponens digiti minimi, palmaris brevis. So flexor digiti minimi, and opponens digiti minimi. So before that there's a muscle which is missing here, that is abductor digiti minimi. So we have abductor digiti minimi, flexor digiti minimi, and when you remove these two muscles, deep to that there is a muscle that is opponens digiti minimi, and there is a muscle superficial aspect, that is palmaris brevis. So there are four muscles: palmaris brevis, flexor digiti minimi, abductor digiti minimi, deep to that opponens digiti minimi. And there are lumbricals. Lumbricals are seen here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We name the lumbricals from lateral to medial as 1, 2, 3, 4. First and second lumbrical are unipinnate muscle. Third and fourth are bipinnate muscle. They are attached to the tendon of flexor digitorum profundus. That is the origin. So first and second are unipinnate, supplied by the median nerve. Third and fourth are bipinnate, supplied by ulnar nerve. Now palmar interossei are another group of muscles which can be seen in this area. Palmar interossei. Again 1, 2, 3, 4 palmar interossei. There are 4 palmar interossei. They all are unipinnate muscle and they are supplied by deep branch of ulnar nerve. And the dorsal interossei, which can be seen on the dorsal aspect between the metacarpals. These are also seen between the metacarpals. The gap between the metacarpals are filled by the interossei muscles. There are two groups: palmar on the palmar aspect, anterior aspect, and dorsal on the dorsal aspect. Dorsal interossei are all bipinnate muscle and they are supplied by deep branch of ulnar nerve. And paralysis of lumbricals and interossei can produce a claw hand deformity. The structure here that is seen on the wrist region anteriorly, which is holding the tendons in position, and it's a modification of deep fascia, and that's called flexor retinaculum, which is attachment medially to the bones like pisiform, hook of hamate. Laterally it is attached to tubercle of scaphoid and crust of trapezium. So it is a modification of deep fascia which is holding the tendons in position. And there are structures which are passing deep to the flexor retinaculum and superficial to flexor retinaculum. Again, the flexor retinaculum can be seen. So structures passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum are tendon of palmaris longus, palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve. It is not shown here. Palmar cutaneous branch of ulnar nerve. Ulnar vessels can be seen. Ulnar nerve also passes superficial to flexor retinaculum. Where the structures passing deep to flexor retinaculum are major, they are the median nerve, tendon of flexor digitorum superficialis, tendon of flexor digitorum profundus together can be seen in this, tendon of flexor pollicis longus, ulnar bursa. Ulnar bursa is a synovial sheath that is surrounding flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus, which is represented here as blue color, and radial bursa is again a synovial bursa which is surrounding flexor pollicis longus tendon. Carpal tunnel syndrome. It's a compression of median nerve at the carpal tunnel because median nerve is passing deep to the flexor retinaculum. So compression of the median nerve in the flexor retinaculum or deep to flexor retinaculum can cause this one. Patient will experience numbness, tingling on or burning sensation at the thumb, index, middle and radial half of ring fingers. If untreated, it can lead to weakness or atrophy of thenar muscles because the median nerve is affected here and median nerve is supplying mainly the thenar muscles here. So the thenar muscles will be involved in carpal tunnel syndrome. So carpal tunnel is a tunnel that is seen below the flexor retinaculum where the structures are passing. So there, due to any abnormality, like for example due to hypothyroidism, a swelling develops and that causes compression of the median nerve in the carpal tunnel. That can lead to this disorder. Extensor retinaculum is similar to flexor retinaculum, but extensor retinaculum is seen on the extensor aspect. This one. The deep fascia on the back of the wrist is thickened to form the extensor retinaculum, which holds the extensor tendons in place. So here the function is it keeps the extensor tendons in position, whereas flexor retinaculum was holding the tendons of flexor muscles. Attachments. Laterally it is attached to the lower part of anterior border of radius. Laterally. Medially it is attached to some of the carpal bones like triquetral and pisiform bones. Now retinaculum forms 6 osteocartilaginous compartments. Since this retinaculum is having a close relation with the bones, the radius and some part of the carpal bones, it sends some septa deep to this which is attached to the bones, and these septa divides this region into 6 compartments. From lateral to medial it has been divided into 6 compartments. So this is radius and ulna, and the 6 compartments can be seen from lateral to medial, and each compartment has got some structures. The first compartment has got 2 muscles, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis. Abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis tendons. The second compartment has got 2 muscles, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis. The third compartment has got a single muscle, that is extensor pollicis longus. The fourth compartment has got extensor digitorum tendon, extensor indicis also, 2 muscles, posterior introitious nerve, it's a branch of radial nerve, anterior introitious artery, which is a branch of common introitious artery, extensor digiti minimi, that is 5th compartment, and the 6th compartment is extensor carpi ulnaris. Structures that pass superficial to this retinaculum are superficial branch of radial nerve, the dorsal cutaneous branch of ulnar nerve. These 2 structures passes superficial to extensor retinaculum. Rest others are passing deep to the extensor retinaculum. Thank you.